Hello, my name is Halandzovskyi. Here's what we can verify right now about the reported drone incident at Russia's Smolensk Nuclear Power Plant and why it matters. According to statements carried by Russian state media, a drone detonated near structures by the operating third power unit at the Smolensk NPP overnight. The operator, Rosatom, says plant operations are normal and radiation levels remain within background range. There are reports of shattered windows at auxiliary buildings, but no casualties. Independent confirmation is still limited, and details are coming primarily from Russian channels and agencies that are not neutral actors in this war. Before we go deeper, if you find this useful, please subscribe to the channel and like this video, and thank you to all of Ukraine's partners for your continued help and support. Let's frame the basics. Smolensk NPP sits near Desnogorsk in western Russia and runs RBMK 1000 reactors. When you hear hit near Unit 3, that doesn't automatically mean a reactor containment breach or a radiological event. Nuclear sites are large industrial complexes with many non-nuclear buildings. The current claims describe damage consistent with an external blast near ventilation or auxiliary structures, not the reactor core. Rosatom says all units remain online and radiation is normal, which, if accurate, points to non-critical impact. Context matters. This alleged incident comes amid a broader night of long-range drone activity across multiple Russian regions, including reports of fires and airspace restrictions. In August, Russian security services claimed they prevented a drone attack aimed at the same plant. In late August, trade and energy outlets noted another intercept near Smolensk NPP, also without radiological consequences. The pattern is frequent nighttime drone engagements, fragmentary early reporting, and official lines that stress no impact on operations. That mix creates a fog where speculation travels faster than facts, which is why we prioritize what is confirmed and keep a clear distinction between claims and evidence. What exactly is the risk profile when a drone hits near a nuclear power plant? And why today's claims, if true, may still produce zero radiological impact? Think in layers. First, most strikes that show up in early war reporting affect non-nuclear parts of a site, admin buildings, warehouses, cooling auxiliaries, or peripheral infrastructure. Damage there can be visually dramatic, blown out windows, fires, while remaining operationally non-critical. Second, nuclear islands have multiple safety barriers, robust reactor structures, redundant cooling, backup power, and emergency protocols that assume external shocks. For a single small drone to cause radiological release would typically require a highly specific chain of events against hardened targets, which is why most verified incidents near plants end with operations normal statements. IAEA guidance is blunt. Any military activity near nuclear facilities inflates risk. Over the past year, the agency has logged drones and gunfire within kilometers of Ukrainian plants and condemned attacks that approached reactor-adjacent structures at Zaporizhzhia. Earlier this year, an explosive drone damaged structures at the Chernobyl site without causing a release. Radiation remained stable. The lesson is twofold. One, the threshold for a serious nuclear accident is high because of engineered defenses. Two, repeated proximity events keep pushing odds in the wrong direction, and that's unacceptable in any rules-based security architecture. In short, you don't need a breach to make this dangerous. You need discipline and deterrence to keep hazards away from nuclear sites. Now, timeline. Russian outlets today describe a detonation near Unit 3 around 3:50 to 4:00 a.m. Moscow time. Windows broke in auxiliary buildings, radiation normal, units online. At the same time, independent and Ukrainian side reporting captured a larger overnight wave of drones targeting oil, logistics, and airspace around major hubs, with separate fires in Smolensk itself. That blend, one nuclear-adjacent claim among a broader strike environment, makes it especially important not to treat preliminary bulletins as final truth. We log them, we wait for imagery, and we watch for IAEA notes or other neutral confirmations. Why would a nuclear-adjacent claim appear in a night of industrial target strikes? And how should audiences read the strategic logic? Ukraine's long-range campaign has focused on military logistics, oil refineries, pumping stations, depots, airfields, and defense plants. That line of effort imposes real costs on Russia's war machine without massing troops at the front. Russian state media have a different incentive. to portray Ukraine as reckless and escalate the terror narrative, especially when strikes hit deep in Russia. That's why you often see immediate headlines about nuclear plants, even when the effects described are broken glass in an auxiliary building and radiation normal. Western outlets that pick up agency copy usually add caution flags or note the lack of independent verification. The prudent reading here is simple. First, treat nuclear-adjacent claims with maximum scrutiny. Ask, what exactly was hit? A reactor building, a ventilation stack, a warehouse? What's the radiological assessment? Numbers, not adjectives. Is the IAEA commenting? Second, remember that Russia has repeatedly conducted or enabled high-risk actions around Ukrainian nuclear sites, including extensively documented hazards at the occupied Zaporizhzhia plant and reported drone activity near other Ukrainian facilities. The consistent position across the Euro-Atlantic community is that all parties must keep military activity away from nuclear sites. Full stop. And that includes Russia halting attacks that endanger Ukraine's plants and grid. Finally, communications discipline matters. When officials say no operational impact and radiation normal, that calls for calm but not complacency. The right response mixes verification, air defense improvements that keep drones away from sensitive areas, and steady pressure on supply chains feeding Russia's drone war. That combination reduces the frequency of risky nights like this one, stabilizes energy and logistics for Ukraine and Europe, and denies Moscow the information space it uses to muddy the waters. What to watch next and how to think about policy? First, in IAEA, mention would be significant. The agency often logs near-site drone activity and will note if any radiological parameters changed. Second, high-resolution imagery or on-site photos can confirm whether damage aligns with the claims and whether we're talking about auxiliary glazing or something that demands a deeper safety review. Third, track Rosatom's official press center and Russia's regulator for follow-up bulletins, while also watching independent monitors for radiation readings in the wider Smolensk region. Fourth, keep an eye on Ukrainian and Western reporting about the broader strike pattern that night, oil nodes, depots, airports, to separate the nuclear-adjacent story from the main operational targets. Policy-wise, the near-term steps are clear. Expand layered air defense around all nuclear sites in the region. Maintain transparent, time-stamped public updates when any incident occurs. Clarity lowers panic and deters disinformation. Double down on sanctions enforcement against components for long-range drones and cruise missiles, and keep strengthening Ukraine's air defenses. The fewer drones and missiles Russia can launch at Ukrainian cities and infrastructure, the fewer opportunities there are for risky spillovers anywhere near nuclear facilities in Russia, in Belarus, or in occupied parts of Ukraine. Bottom line, tonight's Smolensk headlines, as reported by Russian channels, describe a limited, non-critical impact near Unit 3 with operations normal and no radiological change. That fits a recurring pattern of nighttime drone engagements and early, sometimes contradictory claims. We stick to verified facts, keep attention on real military logistics targets, and insist on maximum caution around nuclear sites. Please subscribe and like to help more people find clear, verified updates. And thank you to all of Ukraine's partners for your steadfast support.